She learned early how to be quiet. Her husband liked it that way. Loud, heavy, and always angry, he filled every room while she shrank inside it. When he yelled, she nodded. When he insulted her cooking, she apologized. When he told her to get dinner, she grabbed her keys and ran. She was late. The night sky was pitch black. Dinner was supposed to be ready by 7. Rain hammered against the windshield as she sped down the empty road, fingers tight around the steering wheel. Every glance at the clock made her stomach twist harder. She already knew the consequences of coming home late. Thunder cracked across the sky, then lightning flashed. For a single second, the world turned white. Just long enough for her to see a man walking across the road. Her foot slammed the brakes. The tires screamed. But she wasn't lucky enough. Thud. The impact shook the entire car. When the vehicle finally came to a stop, silence filled the storm for one horrible moment. Her breathing trembled. Slowly, she stepped out into the rain. The body lay twisted against the pavement. One side of the man's skull was crushed inward. Dark tire marks smeared across his head like wet paint. His eyes stared upward into the storm. He wasn't breathing. The man was dead. Panic consumed her instantly. Her heart pounded so hard it felt painful. She stared down at the corpse lying in the rain, unable to process what she had done. What was she supposed to do now? Who could she even call? 911 would have been the right answer. It was an accident. The storm was heavy. She never saw him until it was too late. But another thought crawled into her mind. What waited for her at home was worse. Even if the police believed her, even if a judge ruled her innocent, she still had to return to her husband. She could already hear his voice. The screaming, the accusations, maybe worse. Fear wrapped around her tighter than the storm itself. She couldn't tell anyone. So with trembling hands, she dragged the body toward the trunk of her car. The man's soaked arm left a smear of blood across the pavement as she shoved him inside. The trunk slammed shut. She drove for nearly an hour, searching for somewhere to dump the body. There was no lake nearby. She thought about the woods. But every passing pair of headlights made her panic. Someone would see. Someone would know. Eventually, there was only one place left to go. Home. By the time she carried the corpse inside, another problem hit her like a wave of ice. Dinner. Her husband would be home soon. And suddenly, a horrible idea began to form in her mind. Something so monstrous she nearly became sick thinking about it. So she took a knife and began cutting up the body. Later that night, with thunder shaking the house outside, she served the human meat for dinner. She cooked until the smell filled the house. Rich, savory, deep. Her husband ate without complaint. Then he looked at her differently. "This," he said, licking his fingers, "is the best thing you've ever made." Her chest fluttered. The next night, she served the rest. He praised her again, smiled, didn't yell. When she cooked her usual meal the night after, his face twisted with disgust. The yelling returned, louder than before. She understood then it wasn't the food. It was the meat. For the first time in years, the house felt peaceful. There were no screaming matches, no insults, no plates shattered against walls. Her husband actually smiled now. He complimented her cooking constantly. "Best meals you ever made," he would say with a grin. And somehow that almost made it worse, because the guilt was eating her alive. Every bite he took felt like another weight crushing her chest. Eventually she couldn't carry it anymore, so one night she told him everything. The storm, the man in the road, the body in the trunk, the cutting, the meals. Every horrible detail spilled from her trembling lips while tears rolled down her face. When she finished, she waited for screaming, disgust, horror, anything, but instead her husband just stood there silently. His expression almost looked confused, like he was trying to piece everything together in his head.
"I have to confess,"
she whispered weakly.
"I have to go to the police."
Her husband slowly raised a hand.
"Well now,
He said calmly.
no need to rush a decision like that. You do that and they'll strap you into the death chair."
"But it was an accident."
She cried.
"Accident?
Suddenly his voice exploded through the kitchen like a lawyer arguing in court.
It stopped being an accident the second you drove away. Hit and run. Desecration of a corpse. Cannibalism."
Every word hit her harder than the last. She broke down sobbing while he paced the room. Then slowly, his anger faded. A smile crept across his face.
"Besides,"
He looked toward the dinner table.
"this saves us money.
She stared at him in horror.
And honestly, it's improved your cooking.
He stepped closer until she could smell the alcohol on his breath.
You will keep making my meals the same way, or your life is over."
Her lip trembled.
Your sorry, worthless life. You're only useful for cooking and serving me. I own you.
She lowered her head, because deep down, she knew he was right, and soon after that, people began disappearing. A lonely drifter, a cashier from the grocery store, the neighbor's teenage son who always stopped to smell her roses on the walk home from school. One by one, they became dinners, and with every meal came rewards, kindness, praise, peace. While she slowly became sick to her stomach with every bite he took, the kitchen sink dripped steadily as she cleaned the last of the dishes. For once, the house was quiet. She froze. The doorbell echoed through the house again. Confused, she dried her hands and walked toward the front door. When she opened it, her eyes widened.
Mr. Ronald?
The old man stood there smiling politely, rainwater dripping from his coat. His metal toolbox rested at his feet.
Evening.
He said.
Your husband said you folks were having trouble with the pipes.
Her stomach dropped.
What are you doing here?
She asked softly.
I asked him to come by.
Her husband's voice came from behind her. She turned slowly. He stood in the hallway, smiling. But there was something cold behind his eyes.
Figured he could help us out.
He said calmly. Then he looked directly at her, and suddenly she understood. The color drained from her face.
No.
She whispered. Tears instantly welled in her eyes as she shook her head.
Please, no.
But her husband only kept smiling. Mr. Ronald's always been good with his hands. The old man laughed softly, unaware of the tension filling the room.
Pipes should be an easy fix,
he said as he carried his toolbox into the kitchen. She stood frozen while he knelt beneath the sink, searching through his tools. Her husband slowly walked beside her, then quietly pressed a kitchen knife into her trembling hand. Do it, he whispered. She stared at the knife in horror.
I can't. I'm not doing this anymore.
She shook her head harder now, tears falling down her cheek.
Not doing this anymore.
Her husband sighed in annoyance.
Fine, I'll do it then.
He reached into the toolbox. Before Mr. Ronald could even turn around, crack! The hammer struck the back of his head. The old man collapsed instantly against the cabinet. She screamed. Again. Crack. Again. Crack. The husband's breathing became heavier with every strike until finally the room fell silent except for the storm outside. Blood dripped from the hammer onto the kitchen floor. Mr. Ronald no longer moved. Her husband stood there breathing hard, staring down at the body. Then slowly, he dropped the hammer beside her feet.
Now cook it.
And with blood covering his clothes, he calmly walked toward the bedroom. Later that night, the television flickered softly in the dark dining room. She sat silently at the table, emotionless, empty. Across from her, her husband devoured the meal with excitement. Damn, he muttered between bites. He stuffed another forkful into his mouth without hesitation. She never touched her plate. She only stared ahead blankly, while the man she once loved happily consumed what used to be their friend. Another day passed. She barely moved from the bed. The curtains remained closed. The room smelled stale, untouched. For hours, she simply laid there staring at the wall, her eyes hollow and unfocused while the ceiling fan slowly spun overhead. She barely slept anymore. Every time she closed her eyes, she saw blood. Mr. Ronald's face, the hammer, the sound. Then from downstairs, she heard laughter, a familiar voice. Her eyes widened. She immediately sat upright.
No.
Panic surged through her body as she rushed out of the bedroom and down the stairs.
Oh no, Mother.
Her voice cracked as she entered the dining room. An elderly woman sat happily at the table wearing a warm smile.
Sweetheart,
Her mother said cheerfully.
you look exhausted.
The old woman adjusted her glasses before motioning toward the kitchen.
Charles invited me over for lunch.
Slowly, she turned toward her husband. Charles stood near the stove with a grin on his face. Then he winked at her. Her stomach dropped instantly. She looked down at the plate sitting in front of her mother. The meat. Her breathing nearly stopped. No. Her mother happily cut another piece and placed it into her mouth completely unaware.
This is delicious.
The old woman said with a smile. The wife felt her knees weaken. Her vision blurred. She wanted to scream, to slap the plate away, to tell her the truth. But then she saw this look on Charles's face. He wasn't hiding it anymore. He enjoyed this. This wasn't about hunger. This wasn't about survival. He was punishing her, mocking her, teaching her what happened when she disobeyed him. And the worst part, he knew she wouldn't say a word. Her mother continued eating peacefully while tears slowly filled her daughter's eyes. Charles leaned against the counter, smiling proudly.
See?
He said softly.
Everybody loves your cooking.
The wife lowered her head in silence, and once again, she submitted to his will. The refrigerator was overflowing with neatly wrapped packages of meat, rows and rows of them. Enough to feed them for weeks. maybe months. She couldn't even open the freezer anymore without feeling sick. Charles handled whatever they didn't eat, the scraps, the bones, the things left behind. She tried not to think about what happened down in the basement, but sometimes at night, she could still hear the chopping. But one evening, while Charles was downstairs, she stood alone in the kitchen trembling. Her eyes locked onto the knife block sitting on the counter. Slowly, she reached for one. The blade shook violently in her hand as she pressed it against her throat. Tears streamed down her face.
I can't do this anymore.
She whispered. Then suddenly,
Donna!
Charles stormed into the kitchen. His eyes widened in panic as he saw the blade against her neck.
What the hell are you doing?
He rushed toward her. The two struggled violently as she tried to keep hold of the knife.
Let me go!
She screamed.
No.
Finally, Charles ripped the knife from her grasp. She collapsed onto the floor sobbing. Charles stood over her, breathing heavily. Then his face twisted with rage.
You think dying gets you out of this?
He snarled.
You'll reach hell eventually.
He pointed toward her violently.
But only after I'm done with your sorry ass here on Earth.
Something inside her finally snapped. Years of fear, humiliation, blood, bodies, all of it exploded at once. As Charles turned his head, she grabbed the nearby baseball bat leaning beside the doorway. The bat connected with the side of his skull. Charles dropped instantly to the floor unconscious. When he finally woke up, his head pounded violently. The attic was dark except for a single hanging light bulb swaying overhead. He tried to move, but his arms and chest were tightly strapped to a chair.
What's going on?
He cried out in panic. Slowly, footsteps creaked across the attic floor. Donna emerged from the darkness carrying a dinner plate in her trembling hands. Charles stared at her, then looked down and screamed. Below his knees, there was nothing left. Both of his legs were gone. Bandages soaked dark red wrapped around the stumps. Donna slowly sat the plate in front of him. Steam rose from the cooked meat resting on the dish. Tears rolled down her cheeks as she forced herself to smile.
Eat.
She whispered.
It's my special ingredient.
Charles shook violently in terror.
Donna, please.
Don't worry.
She said softly.
You won't miss them.
She lifted a forkful toward his mouth.
Besides, they made a lovely meal.
His screams echoed through the attic long into the night, and for the first time in years, Donna finally smiled.